Hey everybody, welcome back. You may notice a change of scenery. I am at camp. As I mentioned in the last video, I was going to be changing things up a little bit because I'm on vacation. So, yeah, I'm just doing some of the fun things that I enjoy doing, like gaming and making videos. So, we're on Chapter 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it's early, so I may still be a little bit congested because that happens at camp. And also, I don't know how the sound quality is going to be because I sort of put everything together and just trying to make it work. But it's gonna be good because chapter 2 is kind of a sort of a segue chapter. It kind of goes into the next part. So let's continue. The original is only like 5 to 10 minutes. You're going through Sector 8 and there's nothing there. There are no enemies there. There are no bosses. There's nothing like that. But we'll see in the remake that it elaborates. This chapter in remake provides the greatest elaboration, I would say, from the storytelling in the original. Aside from whole chapters that are completely remade or added.
And with nothing but a few scratches to show. Think you might have overdone it?
I followed the instructions to the letter. Maybe it triggered a reaction with the Mako?
Well, let's hope the city's still in one piece.
For the planet's what matters, right? I mean, this must have helped some.
After all that, it had better have. Anyway, let's get going. We in Sector 8?
That'd be just down there.
All right then, lead the way.
You got it. Huh.
So that's the part of the story that is elaborated on with Jesse worrying that there's going to be... Oh, by the way, there are blue jays and crows and things outside, so you're probably going to hear a lot of cawing. So Jesse's worrying about that that the explosion was too big. They kind of made that into a bigger story, a plotline in the remake. So we're seeing a little bit of that. We're also seeing a little bit of what they did in Final Fantasy 15. We might see this a little bit this time, where these characters do this same sort of shifting around, moving around, ducking and shimmying around different things.
The primary explosive?
The same that they did in 15. And I guess maybe that's kind of like reused in a lot of games, but I feel like a lot of the assets and a lot of the techniques they used in previous games, they're using here. So
How much farther do we have to go?
Not far. That's about as good a place as any.
Stand back then. I'll set the bomb.
Can't wait to see you, Marlene.
Can't wait to take a hot shower.
this is the shimmying. Although I think I remember him putting his hands up in front of him, which Noctis did in 15, but maybe they changed it a little bit to make it different.
Good to go. Fire in the hole!
You sure told those doors.
Let that be a lesson to anything that gets in my way.
So I think the best thing about this chapter is that you can see the full effect of blowing up the reactor. You can see all the aftermath and how the residents are dealing with it. I like how they have the Shinra logo inside the speaker, like really small in the center. I never noticed that before.
Structures in the area are in hazards of collapse, rendering the entire sector hazardous. Therefore, all residents...
No. No way.
This couldn't have been us, could it?
But what if it was?
What's done is done.
Merc's right. It ain't pretty, but we can't stop now. This was just the first reactor, and the planet won't be safe till we get the rest.
Yeah. We always knew this was gonna get messy.
And this is only the beginning.
Y'all gotta look at the bigger picture here. Nothing worth fighting for was ever won without sacrifice. Though you may not be crying out, I know you're in pain, just like the planet. But it's okay, because I'm here for you, to help take the load off your shoulders. Your fears, your worries, your concerns, and yes, your feelings. Whatever your problem, I got you.
Interesting how the Shinra theme is playing behind his motivating speech.
That's easy enough. We get our asses home.
Later we'll hear the Barrett theme, which will show up in North Corel.
We'll split up and shoot for the last train home. Regroup in the freight car. Got it?
Later then.
Hey, I'd like my money now.
You can have it once we're back at base.
So I'll show a little bit of Final Fantasy 15 in this episode, or this chapter, I guess, or this video. I don't know what to really call it, but
I don't need to tell you what this is, right?
Of course not. It's healing too.
but you'll be able to see
You can have it.
the
For saving my
stark
life.
difference between
Doing
the
my job.
sort of how the assets match up with the voice acting in that as opposed to this. It was a huge improvement in this, and I'm excited to see the improvement from this to Rebirth,
Can be a matter of luck or skill.
especially with PlayStation 5 and Unreal Engine 5.
Words to live by.
Yeah, well, thanks.
You do know how to use it, right?
You do know what I was, right?
Okay. I was only
Oh, that
trying
was
to
weird.
help. Oh, before I forget, here's a little something extra for being so brave. That really was the ride of a lifetime. Well, see you on the train.
All this destruction and devastation. These were some of the debris that arced down onto the slums, or not the slums, the top part of the plate. Oh, that person's. Well, I thought they were dead for a second. I don't think any of these people are going to be actually dead.
Cloud, up here! Look up! I said look up! Careful up here. This could collapse at any moment. If you want up, you'll have to use those stairs.
Grenades, woohoo! I used grenades in this game probably as much as I used them in the original, which was never.
Station's intact.
And see, this chapter, I feel like there's a lot that I forget that's in here, like meeting Aerith for the first time, the train ride. I mean, for this and in the original. So I say a 5 to 10 minutes, but there is a good amount of content in terms of just introducing. I mean, in relation to the overall Midgar arc, And this is even a little bit more. This is even cut out of the flashback scene where he's looking into the fire like that. So we're gonna see that, a lot of that, in Rebirth, in the beginning of Rebirth. He's pretty tall. I don't know if he's actually that tall. I don't know if he's like a whole head above Cloud, but I think it sort of portrays it that way, that Sephiroth is considerably taller than Cloud. Probably about as tall as Barrett.
He couldn't be.
So this is that thing that games do where it makes you go slow and like go on rails. You're only able to go one direction. And we see those buildings are not Midgar buildings. They're Nibelheim buildings. Although some of it seems like it's a mix of both. And this might have been a good part of the rendering for what we're going to see Nibelheim be in Rebirth.
Wait.
I like that ominous theme they have going on here. It's good that they sort of make they bring some stuff from later on in the game into Remake.
You're not real. You're...
The worst part of this was introducing Sephiroth too early and introducing the Whispers.
Oh, you need not remind me. It was the crowning moment of our time together. But that was then, and this is now. I have a favor to ask. Our beloved planet is dying. Slowly, silently, painfully. Can you bear to see the planet suffer? Cloud. Were the planet...
That's going to be very interesting to see how they do that in Rebirth too. You're going to see that whole scene.
So bright. The sound of her voice, pleading for me to spare you.
So maybe they won't show like Sephiroth
Yielding to cold
stabbing, like killing his mom, but he's implying that he did it. Not necessarily that Cloud saw it,
binds us together would be no more.
but he did see the whole
I would
village
love
burn.
to live in such a world, which is why I must ask you this one favor. Don't worry, it's a simple thing. Run, Cloud. Run away. You have to leave. You have to
Run
live.
away and never come back. Okay, Scar.
Good, Cloud. Very good. Hold on to that hatred.
So even if Square Enix reveals that they had a brilliant plan to subvert expectations, and fans of the series applaud Square for their ingenuity and craftsmanship to surprise the fan base and make them feel as if they were playing the original for the very first time all over again, I still don't like how the Whispers look, or how they function. We'll see that in a moment. They kind of look sloppy. Their particles are all over the place, kind of like the hair particles in a lot of the characters. It's just not pretty. I do love the addition of the huntsman and the additional fighting to escape and jumping on the train.
Are we trapped here?
Are advised to vacate the area immediately. The explosions at the reactor have caused
I think there's something down here, maybe.
Many homes are at risk. It is not safe to remain indoors. Please leave your residences at once. I repeat. This is an alert from the Shinra Emergency Operations Center. An evacuation order has been issued to the occupants of buildings in the vicinity of the Sector 8 Expressway. You are advised to vacate the area immediately.
Man, what a mess.
At the reactor have caused numerous ongoing fires. Many homes are at risk.
So I made some notes, just like I did for chapter 1. So in a minute, I'm gonna go over those. Probably just before I kill the huntsman. Alright, so we're down to the next part. This is pretty uneventful. There's not a lot to mention here. It's just... yeah, can't go that way. It's just the meeting Aerith and the thing I said about the whispers.
You are too weak to save anyone. Not even yourself.
Are you okay? Hey, are you okay?
I'm fine.
Here, this is for you.
Huh? A flower?
That's right. It's a gift. You know, for scaring those things away.
What things?
Never mind. Think of it as a memento.
She's acting very shady.
I heard that, you know.
How much?
How much?
Well, that depends on the customer. In your case, it's on the house.
Huh?
Lovers used to give these when they were reunited.
And I really like how this flower stays on him for the rest
Look,
of this
I'm involved in
until
things.
he gives it to Marlene.
Dangerous things.
Oh, I'm sure you are. So?
So keep your distance.
Wait, you think someone's out to get you? Is that what you're all worked up about? Relax. No one's going to attack you. I promise.
Hey, a Mako reactor just blew. You shouldn't be out here trying to sell.
So he doesn't see them at this point. He doesn't see the whispers until she grabs him. It's like a disease that spreads on contact. That's how I always saw it. And because Cloud has had contact with her, anybody he has in contact with can see the whispers. That's how I think of it. That wasn't really explained. And there are a lot of theories
Are you blind?
about why people can't see them, and some people can't see them, some people can't. Excuse me.
Wait!
Nice meeting you.
Sword on the ground! Right now!
I don't think so. Some more security offers.
Let's go.
Okay, I think this might be the first time they put in that classic battle theme, Final Fantasy VII battle theme.
Was never in doubt.
Got some HP up.
This is an alert from the Shinra Emergency Operations Center. The area near the expressway is still extremely dangerous. Those in the vicinity are instructed.
Okay, I don't need to go through all of this, but this chapter is a little bit easier to just kind of like get everything really quick. Okay, so those are Grenadiers. Those are sort of newer enemies. Let me just see. I think I documented that. The Grenadiers are... Oh, here we go. So the Grenadier is called Grenade Combatant in the original.
Is that it?
To access the train, please take a detour and avoid the plaza near the expressway. Train services may be suspended without warning.
Some more wrist guards. I probably have like a million of those things from playing through this game so much. Here we go. Soon we'll get to see the elite shock troopers, which are, well, I think it's the regular shock troopers that are basically grunts, and they're called the grunts in the original. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Grenadier. Grenadiers are, I think they're weaker than the security officers. I think. There's some good stuff I can get over here. Oh yeah, here come the shock troopers. Probably just ran through that bench.
Don't let him escape! Give up!
There you go. Is there another one? Oh yeah. Target's still mobile. Yeah, he is.
Find another way. Use the rooftops.
Don't let him get away! No matter what!
But the rooftops look clear.
See, I don't mind too much if the game is on rails, kind of like it is here. If Remake or Rebirth is on rails like this is. The only thing that I don't really like is like if I walk away from it. In some cases, oh, there's a little birdie. In some cases, it like really forces you to like go towards where you're supposed to go, and if you go somewhere else, if you try to go away from it, you'll go very slowly, and it kind of like pushes you to go right to where they want you to go. It's almost like the AI is kind of impatient.
Target sighted! Get him!
Collect this.
Don't underestimate him! Fun's over!
You're fired.
It was never in doubt.
I see him!
That's that. Not bad.
Confirmed. Target has entered residential area. Hold up, down is in effect. Oh yes.
Have eyes on the target! You're mine now!
It's never in doubt.
Yeah, the grenadiers are definitely weaker than the security officers.
That's that.
Bombs away! He's here!
Bombs away. Oh yeah, I can't do that. Okay.
That'll do. That's that.
Okay, so it does harm them a little bit even if they block the riot troopers. It hurts them if they block. They are new enemies, the riot troopers and the huntsman. There's a new boss. They're kind of like a mini boss. Because you can beat him again in the Coliseum.
Not bad.
One last little bit of something here. Yeah, this is a pretty short chapter. Alright, let's see what else. There's one more little thing I wanted to say. I'll wait till the train sequence to say it. We'll knock this guy out real quick and then I'll give some notes here. I guess the only thing I'll say is looking ahead to Rebirth, Square definitely will not have the time to elaborate like they did on this. They won't. They kind of have to be faster paced, which is good because this game can kind of be slow paced sometimes. All right, take this guy out quick. Alright, so this is where he runs away. And then it's probably Kunsel or somebody who knows Kunsel from, I think, Crisis Core. Yeah, it is from Crisis Core. So if they make chapters like they did with this, and then like they did with 15, it seems to be like a consistent thing. We'll see if they do that in 16 too, if they make chapters. But if they do chapters, chapter 1 will be Calm in the flashback. Actually, Calm could be 2 chapters.
No need to assume the worst. I'm sure he's fine.
And then
Saw him in action,
chapter
didn't
3 maybe will be the Chocobo farm, crossing the marshes, maybe even the Mythril Mines.
You think he's a keeper?
In the original, there wasn't too much to tell, too much story to tell in the Chocobo farms and marshes. So they just introduced Alina and hinted at Sephiroth heading toward Junin, but we know all too well that Squared intends to inject a lot of exposition every chance they get. But that's speculation, and I'll elaborate that in a minute.
Security to run around. That's what. Had to draw them away from the station somehow.
I do like the scene how Jessie shows Cloud the layout of Midgar in the original, like she does in the original.
Wait. Got a question for you all.
What?
Ever been attacked by an invisible enemy?
What?
Wearing robes. Came and went like the wind.
Thought they were invisible.
They were, at first. Only saw them after she grabbed me.
See, he kind of confirms that.
A new shimmer weapon, maybe?
He only saw them because
More like
Aerith
a
grabs him.
pain-induced hallucination.
Never mind. Forget I said anything.
Suit yourself. Come on, let's move up.
Hopefully you can hear the audio is a little bit tricky in here.
A lot of people here.
And in the freight car, too.
Because of the evacuation order, maybe?
Lucky us. We've got a
This is where in the original Jesse wipes some smudge off his face.
An emergency schedule is now in effect. Your understanding and cooperation is appreciated.
Yeah, here's that. Oh yeah, he does kind of put his hands up.
No guards here, right?
Oh, there's a treasure chest. I thought there was something like that here.
Hope the others made it.
Man, everyone's on edge.
Of course they are.
Hey, Cloud.
If you're about to unburden yourself, don't.
Yeesh. You don't make it easy.
Could Avalanche really be behind all this?
Hey, got a sec?
I wish they at least like gave you the option to be a dick or not. Hang on. Okay, trying to talk to him.
You're holding up pretty well, huh? Even after what we saw at the station and all over Sector 8?
I'm a soldier.
Wow. My hands are still shaking.
You get used to it.
Something to look forward to. Or maybe not.
You see, my daughter now lives in Sector 8, so...
I'm just pushing my way past everybody.
Little help, Cloud, please.
Sure.
Stupid.
Yeah, the slums need power too.
I can't stop thinking about it. The bomb I made shouldn't have produced an explosion that big. It doesn't make any sense.
The explosion triggered a reaction with the Mako.
I'm sure
You said so yourself.
That was my first guess, but shouldn't the reactor have fail-safes to prevent that kind of thing?
Unless it was
You
planned.
mentioned invisible enemies back there, right?
Right.
No. I'm just looking for excuses for something that was clearly my own fault. Gotta own up to it if I'm gonna learn from this and move on. Thanks, Cloud. You're a good listener.
That's a big difference from Wedge to Jesse.
What kind of maniacs would go so far as to bomb a reactor?
They've yet to announce it publicly, but I heard it was Avalanche's doing.
Really? Aren't they the terrorists who tried to kill the president?
Is there nothing they won't do?
Hey, quit talking out your ass. Everyone knows Avalanche only cares about saving the planet.
Yeah, this is the Barrett theme I was talking about from earlier.
Just who do you think you are?
A law-abiding, concerned citizen.
Law-abiding? Really?
Very nice.
In my humble opinion, that explosion was a message. A message to the bastards bleeding our planet dry. Think they got it? Heard it loud and clear? Y'all's masters?
We will not submit to intimidation or violence, but work together for peace and prosperity. That is how civilized people change the world.
That's right.
That is the Shinra Creed.
It's fighting words.
It's what we believe. We all have to follow our conscience, don't we?
We should go.
Right.
Good job, Barrett. Way to not draw attention to yourself. And here we go. Isn't there like materia on the bench here somewhere? I don't know.
You hear that suit? Shinra Creed my ass.
Let's get this out of the way. Personally, I find visual aids make the dull stuff a lot more bearable. If it helps, think of it as an initiation rite.
How many times do I have to tell you people? I'm not...
There's such a thing as playing too hard to get. So, here we've got a wireframe model of the great city of Midgar, complete with massive steel plates suspended 300 meters above ground level. Atop which stands a shining beacon of civilization. The whole system is sustained by the Mako reactors, which feed the insatiable appetites of the public.
The train will be passing through an ID checkpoint shortly.
This here is the train's route. As you can see, it'll take us around this main pillar. Look, we're about halfway through it now. They've set up a checkpoint here to scan the IDs of all passengers heading in and out. Date of birth, residential status, criminal history. All that and more is automatically cross-referenced in their databases. Public security wouldn't have it any other way. Heads up. Don't worry, our IDs are impeccable. What'd I tell ya? Have a little faith. Won't be long till we reach the bottom. Relax.
Take a good look. It's because of that great big pizza in the sky that people down there gotta struggle to survive. Shinra sucks up Mako while the soil turns to dust. The air fills with smog and the flowers die.
Then leave and don't look back. That's what's always worked for me.
Well, that's all well and good.
It's kind of like what Sephiroth was telling him to do.
Out for yourself. But the folks down there don't have the luxury of choice, you know.
Like this train, I suppose. There's only one way it can go.
So I think that's it for Chapter 2. Before I go into Final Fantasy VII Original, I want to mention some notes and booting up Final Fantasy 15 here to show a couple of things that I wanted to point out that are hints at what is to come. So we started off with Chapter 2 of Final Fantasy VII Remake. We've just blown up Mako Reactor 1. Avalanche is blasting their way out of the rubble onto the streets of Sector 8. The aftermath of this first mission is overwhelming, and they added a lot. Square Enix added a lot to this chapter. In the original, the longest part of this was the train sequence where Jesse gives Cloud a breakdown of how the city of Midgar is structured. We get a little character development, and the team returns to the Sector 7 slums, and they didn't expand on that as much, obviously, because it's just a small explanation of how Midgar works and how the train system goes around the city. In Remake, however, we get to explore a bit of the upper plate and fight some more baddies, mostly enemies that are new to the series. We see an upgraded version of the Shock Trooper. Actually, we didn't see an upgrade. We just saw the regular Shock Trooper, which was called Grunt in the original. And the shielded enemies, Riot Troopers, and the Huntsmen. So what's jarring about the chapter, aside from seeing the devastation wrought on the citizens of Midgar, is the Sephiroth sequence where he torments and taunts Cloud. And Sephiroth may have been necessary in this game purely for marketing and planning purposes. I don't believe the story needed to change at all. Shinra is big enough of an enemy that Square Enix could have tailored the story and events around Shinra as the main bad guy, and the hints at Sephiroth could have been saved for the next game. But the big catch is that this game had to be successful for Square Enix to consider another game, or another few games, as the case may be. If this was a one-off, they couldn't do any future installments. We would have a Final Fantasy VII game with no Sephiroth, and that wouldn't make sense in terms of how Square needed to sell it. Also, a game with Sephiroth playing a bigger role probably made more sense in the developers' minds than one without him. So, I just wanted to point out really quick how... See if I can load up a game that... okay, I killed Deadeye in Final Fantasy 15, and right after that you can get to ride Chocobos. So, I mentioned that if Rebirth is split into equal parts like chapters, just like the remake was, and we had 18 chapters, the entire Calm flashback could have been 2 chapters. We'll see that the next locations don't take up as much of a central story exposition purpose, and therefore will pick up the pacing, at least in the original. That's what happened. But I know better than that. They'll inject some kind of story in between here and there. So I just wanted to show, if you rent Chocobos, this is what it looks like. So I could definitely see Cloud riding a Chocobo like this. But see how he rides it, and then the rest of them get to have their own Chocobos. Obviously, the different colors will have different abilities. But this is really cool. I like this. I like these animations and stuff. This is like the colors are really fun too. But I mean, that's not a lot to show. But I think these look really cool. They look really good, and they look good in Final Fantasy VII Remake too. And then I want to point out one other thing. We have some enemies like the Behemoth Tyrant. We see behemoths in Final Fantasy VII. We've seen them in Remake too, so that's not groundbreaking. But there is this lovely thing, the Midgar Zolom, which is basically the Midgar Zolom. And depending on how you orient it, you can spin them completely around. So just a couple more notes before I go into playing some of the original. After Calm, we have Chocobilly and the Chocobo Farm. In the original, we get the Chocomog Summon, which made it into the remake as Chocobo and Moogle. It's possible if we start without any of the extra materia, we will receive Chocobo and Moogle Summon materia here, if they just start us out without it. Or we will get some other important materia, weapon or key item that may not be, that may or may not be missable. I doubt very much the whole chapter can be spent on the Chocobo Farm. To me, Chocobo Farm and the marshes would be connected and tied in as the same chapter. In fact, in the original, the Mythril Mines didn't take very long either. And we're going to play that in a second. So, the pre-rendered background of the Midgar Zolom is incredible, and we'll see that also. I want to refer to Final Fantasy... So, I've referred to Final Fantasy XV for those two things, the Chocobos and the Midgar Zolom. So the way they ride Chocobos, which I could see most of the characters riding, except for Red 13, and he is a quick dog-like animal, so he can run fast right along whatever characters are riding. But chances are they might do some other form of transportation. They definitely will be Chocobo riding, but only Cloud will ride, maybe. And running from the Midgar Zolom may be a whole sequence or mini-game. What they could do is have Chocobo or Chocobilly supply a cart or a covered wagon to get past the swamps, and you can catch Chocobos to pull the cart, like they had the cart in Remake. But later on, Cloud should be able to ride a Chocobo. So without further ado, let's switch over to the original. And the reason why I'm playing the original instead of just talking about it is because there are a lot of things I might forget. It's easy to gloss over things, or not think of certain things. So here we are from Calm. We're heading on over to the Chocobo Farm. And what I can do, this would be pretty easy to do, is do a lot of the grinding off screen, so that it's not tedious. And I'm really interested to see how they do that from Calm to Chocobo Farm, how everything should open up before you. And then, of course, there's the Chocobo dance. Now there may be something similar to this. I don't know if all the Chocobos are going to dance in unison. I wonder if they're going to have some kind of a sequence where Chocobilly has this like show that he does at the farm. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's how you get the Chocomog materia. Yeah, I'm thinking of crossing the marshes. That'll probably be safer for you to get a Chocobo. That way you can zip through the marshes with the Chocobo. It's the only way to avoid being attacked by the Midgar Zolom. Midgar Zolom? It's a serpent-like creature over 30 feet tall. It detects the footsteps of anyone in the marshes. The one that we saw in 15 wasn't that big. But it can look like that. I think if it looked exactly like that, I would be totally fine with that. But I know they'll maybe make some adjustments. Buy a Chocobo at the farm. Okay. So we're gonna buy some Chocobo lure and some greens. Give me one. You old folks are out of luck. Old folks. We're all out of Chocobos. I'm taking care of the ones out there for someone else. If you really want a Chocobo, you should go out and catch one. Not interested. Shall we get down to business? Yes. So we'll buy some greens. Tantal's fine. Oh, I can only afford one. Maybe I'll have to get into a couple more fights in order to afford more than that, but actually, a good way to be prepared for this is if I go all the way down and grab greens, put it up close to the beginning. And then I have to equip the Chocobo lure. I'm not sure how involved this will be in the remake or in Rebirth. So we catch the Chocobo by giving it some greens. I'm interested to see how the Alpha Dunk will look in the remake. I'm sure they'll do a great job, or in Rebirth, I should say. Missed it. That's alright, I'll get it next time. Alright, how much money did I get? What? So I only have enough for one more again. Yeah, so we got a Chocobo. Got a Chocobo. I used to say Chocobo, actually. Oh, and Aerith got Seal Evil. Okay, so this can be a whole sequence of going through the marshes, which is like, it takes 2 seconds here, so we'll see. We'll see what it is. But this is what I'm most looking forward to with this whole sequence is seeing this big snake impaled on this tree branch. This Sephiroth's guy is pretty strong, I'd say. Our enemy is someone who could do this. Oh. Okay, goodbye. So we're in the Mythril Mines. Just gonna get some stuff real quick. Long range is really important for when you fight that big bottom swell, I think. It's called the big dragon thing at Chunin. So these crab-like creatures are really the only ones that they're really the only ones that we've seen in the remake. All the other, or the snake and the dragon thing. Oh, I learned flamethrower. That's great. The snake and the dragon thing, we didn't. In the original, oh yeah, it's called Caesar, I think. I should actually look to see what the names of these creatures are. Castanets and Arc Dragon. Wow, it loaded up Barrett's limit break really quick. Madooge. Madooge. It's gonna be one of those really weird creatures, kind of like the Vargidpolis. But I think they're gonna do like, from what I've seen, I have reason to believe that they're gonna do a good job recreating these enemies. These bizarre-looking enemies. Well, at least I'm getting more gil now. So here's part of the story that that's going to be interesting to see in Rebirth as well. Just a second. By any chance, do you know who I am? The Turks, right? Well, if you know, then this won't take long. It's difficult to explain what the Turks do. Kidnapping, right? To put it negatively, you could say that. But that's not all there is to it anymore. Sir! It's alright, Rude. I know you don't like speeches, so don't force it. Then explain, Elena. I'm the newest member of the Turks, Elena. Thanks to you, what you did to Reno, we're short-handed. But because of that, I got promoted to the Turks. Anyhow, our job is to find out where Sephiroth is headed, and to try and stop you every step of the way. Wait a minute, it's the other way around. You're the ones that are getting in our way. Elena, you talk too much. Mr. Sang! No need to tell them about our orders. Sorry, Sang. I thought I gave your orders. Now go, don't forget to file your report. Oh, right. Very well, Rude and I will go after Sephiroth, who's headed for Junin Harbor. Elena, you don't seem to understand. Oh, I'm sorry. Go, don't let Sephiroth get away. Yes, sir. Reno said he wanted to see you after the injuries you gave him healed. He wants to show his affection for you all with a new weapon. Well then. Eris, long time no see. Looks like you're safe from the Shinra for a while. Now now that Sephiroth reappeared. What are you saying? That I should be grateful to Sephiroth? No. I won't be seeing much of you, so take care. Strange hearing that from you. Well then, stay out of Shinra's way. So we have that to look forward to. That'll be good. Okay, so we're on the other side of the Mythril Mines. There was an error last time, so I had to play through that again, just a little behind the scenes. I did see in the grasslands area, the Chocobo farm area, there was another enemy called Mandragore, which was just a little like weed thing. But other than that, nothing. We didn't really miss anything big. But I want to try to find an enemy here that could be a boss that is really interesting. This is an interesting enemy here, and it could be a boss, Hellrider VR2. It looks like it didn't really do anything crazy, but I'd like to see lesser known enemies like this in Rebirth. Maybe this is like a soldier on some kind of a creature. Actually, that Hellrider, that looks like the Wrathhound that we saw on the remake. Could they be connected? Maybe. But we have Fort Condor here. This doesn't play a big plot element, or at this point in the story in the original. We've been fighting the Shinra on this battlefield for a long time. We've still settled in for a long war with them. Could you spare some time to help us fight them? We don't want to sound pushy, so if you're busy with something, why don't you finish that first? We'll help you. Okay. Just to see the inside of it. I think this is still a really neat place to see and to see fleshed out in Rebirth. So, a couple of my notes here. Mythril Mines needs to be expanded, and I think they'll do a good job with this, at least from what we've seen in the caves in Final Fantasy XV. That's kind of a good way to sort of imagine what they would do for a cave-like situation. I'd like to be able to climb up the vines and the ladders and things like that, not just to have like some ladder, like metal ladders, rope ladders, vines, things like that. I think that would be cool to see them flesh that out, that sort of mechanic out. Elena should be introduced here in the mines. Maybe she'll be introduced earlier. Who knows? Out on the other side of the mines, we have Fort Condor, which I think is still be an area you can explore, and maybe they'll expand on the minigame and make it into a live battle setting with actual soldiers. And later on, they will introduce Phoenix as a summon you can get here, or at least that's how it goes in the original. I feel like they may include more summons than was in the original game, like Fenrir or Gilgamesh or something like that. I think that would be really cool. They did this with Carbuncle and Cactuar, though those were only small summons. Also, I'm 75% sure that they will inject Yuffie into the story by now, though in the original, this is the first area where you can add her to your party, and we'll do that in a moment after we look through the rest of this place. Last, for the area, we'll go to the Sleeping Man, and we'll kind of see what that's all about. Now this is something I've never thought anyone would ever climb up here. Your eyes are different. Well, anyhow, any minute now, this will be a battlefield against Shinra. You better get down before you get involved. Shinra? The hell those jackasses doing here? What do you mean a battlefield? It appears you have a problem with the Shinra too. After all, you climbed up here. Why not listen to what I have to say for a moment? I guess so. Do you know what's at the top of this mountain? Huh? Something's up there? A huge bird? The reactor and the Condor. That's right. On the mountain is a Condor and a reactor. It seems the Shinra doesn't like the idea of having a Condor on top of the reactor. Then that's one big bird, but why are they trying to get rid of it with weapons? Why? It seems there's some type of special materia in the reactor above us, and because the Condor came, the Shinra rushed troops here. The military wants to get the Condor and all the villagers off this mountain. The Condor is now warming its egg, which hatches only once every few years. We would like to protect the Condor from being harmed. New lives. I'll do it. I'll protect them from Shinra. We must protect the Condor egg, right? Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to fight Shinra ourselves. That's why we have hired soldiers to help us. As our sponsor, you can help us with a contribution or by fighting alongside of us. What do you think? You want to join us in our fight? What's there to think about? We gotta do it. Cloud, why are you still worrying about it? Alright. Hey, we'll come to the rescue. Yes, let's do our best. So, in this is a minigame where every time you participate in this battle, you get something else. Like if you win, you get something special in here. I think we're not gonna do that reviewing the original, because it's not anything incredible. It's not something that you can't otherwise get in other places. But anyway, you can buy materia here, items, but nothing you can't get anywhere else. So maybe we'll just speed this up a little bit. See, just to see the whole area. This is a lot like Cosmo Canyon, although it's a lot smaller. Can't really go out there now. We'll be able to later once we get Phoenix. The Phoenix summon. So you can go down there and save, and it's interesting how there are no enemies or nothing crazy here, but you can save down there and you can go into the beds, but you can go right out here to the outside and save. So and I don't know how much of a part that will play in Rebirth, or if they're gonna have that at Rebirth at all. Maybe they'll transplant that into the final, into the last installment. Okay, so this is Zemzelet. I don't have Manipulate, but he has an enemy skill that we can learn if we manipulate him. To speed through this a little bit. I like that we got White Wind in the remake too. Okay, so we can't cross here, so we can't see the sleeping man. But the sleeping man can be found in the original after getting the buggy. So later on in the game, you would be able to return to him and obtain the Great Gospel. So let's take a second to talk about limit breaks while we're looking for a Yuffie here. Yuffie. So there are only 2 limit breaks in Remake. They only stuck with, I think they made Braver. Yeah, I gotta focus on this for a second. They made Braver a normal sort of extra attack, and then they made Cross Slash the first limit break, and then they had Ascension, a new limit break, as the next one. But of course, they're not going to have Omni Slash. They're not going to have Omni Slash until probably the 3rd part, anyway. But I think what they should do, because of limit breaks like Seal Evil, which are not very useful, but it depends on the situation, you can maybe choose to use that, either that or the other one. You don't have to apply it, and then you can only use that particular limit break. They should have the option to choose between 3 of them. That's what I'm gonna guess. Capper wire. Let's speed this up a little bit. Alright, so we have the Mystery Ninja. I'd like to be able to fight Yuffie. Not just because she's so annoying, but I think that would be very interesting. Like, to be able to add her to your team by fighting her. And it would be true to the original. Man, I can't believe I lost. This is great, because this is all the characters we've seen so far in Remake and the DLC. You spiky-headed jerk. One more time. Let's go one more time. Not interested. Thinking of running away? Stay and fight. Fight, I said! Come on, what's the matter? You're pretty scared of me, huh? Petrified. Just as I thought. What do you expect with my skills? Good luck to you guys, too. If you feel up to it, we can go another round. Later. I'm gonna leave. I mean it. Wait a second. What is it? You still have something for me? So is that it? I know you want my help because I'm so good. You want me to go with you? That's right. Heh, thought so. You put me in a spot. What should I do? But if you want me that bad, I can't refuse. Alright, I'll go with you. Let's hurry. Hey! Wait, I haven't even told you my name. And those are all the options you have to choose in order to get Yuffie as part of your party in the original. I'm Yuffie, good to meet ya. But because she's required in the Rebirth, we're not going to be able to do that same, we're not going to have that same exchange. Maybe something akin to that, or something with the spirit of that, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. Just as I planned. Now all I have to do is a little this and a little that. Yeah. Hey, wait up, wait for me. She's the Three Stooges, apparently. Yeah. Alright, so that's it for this video. The next video, we're going to go to Junin. Let me just see. I'll give you a sneak preview idea of where we're going to go. Alright, that's the wrong screen here. So next, we'll cover Junin Harbor and the Shinra cargo ship and Costa del Sol. And to sort of recap a little bit, if we have Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and in the last installment, 18 months is 18 chapters for the remake, but also splitting the two following installments, Rebirth and the next one. I have planned it out so that by the time we get to Rebirth, I will have covered the whole original. So that will account for 2 chapters that I'm covering for each of these videos, if that makes sense. So last time we talked about Calm, and that was really all we did in the flashback. So that would have been 2 chapters dedicated to Calm in Rebirth, and then this being Mythril Mines, Chocobo Farm, Fort Condor, and Yuffie, that would be 2 chapters, somehow split up into 2 chapters. And then the next one, Junin Harbor, maybe 1. The next one would be Shinra cargo ship at Costa del Sol, or however they would do that, if those events lined up exactly in sequence, which they won't, but this is a fun plan to kind of imagine how it's gonna go. The way that's planned out is that Rebirth should end right around the Keystone and the Temple of the Ancients. So they may try to squeeze that in and save maybe Wutai, save maybe something else having to do with maybe Gongaga and Cosmo Canyon, which would be a shame because I really want to see that in Rebirth. If they take one of those major elements and save it for the last installment, then they will be able to go right up till Aerith's death and the snowfields, the Great Glacier, and the crater. Actually, I think if they did all of that and go up to where the weapons have been released from the planet, they have to take two major main story points and put it into the last game instead of Rebirth. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying this nice little new setup that we have going on for this week. Maybe, I mean, that's it for this video, but maybe I'll do one preemptively for the next video. We'll see. We'll see how we're doing, and we'll see if it gets rainy in the next couple days. You may see the month of... See, this will be the month of... For the month of August, you'll see the month of September possibly in the camp setting, depending on how recording goes and how editing these videos together goes. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.